Hello and welcome to Positively United today, Wednesday the 6th of May 2026. This is my 5 insights video from the game against Liverpool on Sunday where we won 3-2 home at Old Trafford. Game that cemented United's qualification for Champions League, and as you know, I did a video quite soon after saying that I also think it should mean that Michael Carrick is announced as the permanent head coach for next season, but we'll leave that for another time to discuss that in more detail. Sorry I didn't get this out yesterday. As some of you might be aware, I was out on the road for work and I just wasn't able to get round to it, but here it is, one day late but better late than never. So these are my insights from the game against Liverpool. First one is, do United still have a mentality problem? That first half was absolutely superb. We tore Liverpool apart and we should have been more than 2-0 up. It's an absolutely excellent first half. It's the most dominant I think we've been in the first half all season. Granted, Liverpool had their problems, but still, you can only play the team in front of you, and United were very positive and very, very confident yesterday. On Sunday. Good for them. And went 2-0 up. And then the start of that second half. Now, granted, Amad Diallo's mistake was a bad one, although there were still opportunities to cut Liverpool's run forward, to cut it off, and those weren't taken. Harry Maguire, who's been going through an excellent time recently, didn't shower himself in glory in that moment, but everyone's entitled to, I think, one mistake per game, and we had two players that made mistakes there in quick succession, and Liverpool made it 2-1. But then we seem to lose our heads. And I'll cite evidence of that, and I'm very surprised about where this came from. For example, Casemiro totally lost discipline in where he was on the pitch, and he went far too far forward. And then United found themselves at 2-2. Not because of Casemiro in that particular circumstance. It was about, of course, and he's entitled to a mistake. Lamans, who's been absolutely superb all season, I don't think has made it until Sunday a mistake that led to a chance or a goal. Well, he certainly made one on Sunday. But for a good period of about 15, maybe even 20 minutes, United just seemed to totally lose their way. And it was so reminiscent of the collapses we had under Ten Hag and also under Amorim, although they were becoming less under Amorim. There's one thing you've got to admit about Amorim. He did toughen up the mentality of the team. But that was still a very, very rocky, very shaky start to the second half. And they looked rattled. So is there still a bit of a mentality problem there? Well, you could argue at the fact that eventually they turned the game around and made it 3-2 shows not. They can recover these days. They don't automatically lose games where they lose control for a period. They can reassert themselves onto the game. And they did later on in the second half, if I make the case, when Casemiro got back into position, or at least got back into position more often, we started to control the game again. But that first 20 minutes of the second half, certainly some warning signs there that perhaps the fragilities, the mental fragilities in the team haven't quite all disappeared. Second insight, Aiden Heaven shouldn't make way for anyone at all. In my opinion, Heaven is a first choice centre-back. And when Martinez comes back from his suspension, and Sunday's game was the last of those suspension games, I don't think he gets back in the team. I really don't. I know that Martinez is a fan favourite, and everyone likes his aggression, and I know he's a cut above the rest in passing through the lines. But why should Heaven make way? Why should Maguire make way? Both are playing really well. One mistake from Maguire accepted on Sunday. But, generally speaking, they're both playing really well. And Aiden Heaven's playing really well. I think Heaven deserves a run in the team. And if that means that Martinez is on the bench for the next game rather than starting, then I think that's fair. I think you pick the players that are in form. And Aidan Heaven's in form. And he deserves his chance. So I don't expect to see, or don't want to see, Heaven relegated to the bench for the next game. I think he's played himself into a first choice position. Third insight, Kobbie Mainoo. That goal. The way he took it, he passed it into the net. This is the thing that elevates him above, I think, nearly all the players around him. It's the ability to not lose his head, to think straight in pressured positions of the pitch, to always know what to do next. This is truly world class, and he can be a truly world class player. I cannot wait to see him have a full season next season, playing all the games he can next season. I'm not saying he's going to play all 60 odd or however many we play, but I want, he's a regular. He is one of the first names on that team sheet. And I can't wait to see him establish that role as his role next season if he hasn't already done it. Should be an England starting lineup, by the way, in the World Cup in the summer. But Mainoo can elevate himself. In the last few games, he's shown a physicality which perhaps wasn't there before, a drive that wasn't necessarily there before. And he's still got all the qualities he had before, which is he can score a goal, he can create chances, he can be the engine, the cool head of midfield. There's a lot more to come, I think, from Kobbie Mainoo, and I'm so excited about it, and I think we should all be. And that brings me to my fourth insight, which is our hunt for a new midfielder or midfielders needs to be based on the fact that Mainoo is firmly in place. Now, I've noticed this for quite some time, and perhaps it's starting to quiet down a little bit now, but people were talking about us buying 2-3 midfielders, and they were talking about starting midfielders. So like buying Tonali and Anderson to both start. Okay, where does Kobbie Mainoo go then? They never used to say it directly, but the implicit assumption was that Mainoo would be relegated down to the bench. Are you crackers? Mainoo's going to be our main man in midfield next season. What we need to do now is recruit somebody who can support Mainoo, who fits around Mainoo's skills. It complements Mainoo, not replaces him. We can certainly and should have a backup midfielder who can come in when Mainoo is not available and take the Mainoo role, definitely. But if we're picking our best team to play the best opposition in the biggest tournaments, Mainoo starts. And whatever midfield purchases we make, they need to have that in mind. Mainoo is an automatic first choice. And we need to buy players that complement Mainoo, not displace him. And the last insight was more of a question. Do we need a centre forward, or at least an additional centre forward? I'm pretty certain that part of the reason why we got off to such a shaky start at the beginning of the second half is that because of Šeško being substituted at halftime for his injury. Again, Šeško had an excellent performance in the first half. Last game against Brentford, half the game against Liverpool, really good. I was getting really worried about him. I'm sure many of you were too, about whether he was cut out to start games, because it never seemed to really work for him when he started a game. But the last two games, it definitely has. His hold-up play is better. He's got really neat feet at last, which is good. He's scoring goals, which is good. And when he came off, we seemed to suffer. It's interesting that it was... Well, he's not the only one who suffers. Mbeumo suffered, without a shadow of a doubt, from a substitution, because Mbeumo was put up as the centre forward again, or the most advanced forward. And it's not working for him at the moment. And when he got substituted, he looks such a disconsolate figure. I think it's been misinterpreted in some quarters as like a bit of petulance or a bit of anger. No, he just looks disconsolate. He looks like a man who's not being allowed to perform at his best at the moment because he's having to flit around roles. And I think it's really having a negative effect on him. So the question is, Šeško came off at half-time on Sunday. Why didn't we bring a forward on to replace him, a natural person who plays in that role? Why wasn't it Xerxes? Well, Xerxes eventually came on, but we brought Heaven on to go on the right, and then we moved Mbumo into the centre where he's not having a great time. And is this because we just don't have a quality centre forward to replace Šeško when he's not available? Well, if that's the case, we almost certainly need to go and buy one this summer, or we need to take that leap of faith and to bring in one of our youngsters to fulfill that role and play them when necessary. But whatever happens, we need a quality, dependable reserve centre forward to challenge Šeško and to play instead of Šeško when Šeško can't play, either because he's injured or because he needs a rest. And it's a role I hadn't really thought about terribly much until quite recently, but it's a role we definitely need to fill. Obviously, obviously, as I said, Xerxes wasn't brought on immediately. Why? Is he not trusted in that role? Seemed likely. Well, if he's not trusted in that role, then he should go this summer. I don't know what he's doing at United if he can't be trusted in that role. And if he isn't trusted, let him go. Let him go to somewhere where he can fulfill his potential. But then we definitely need a forward to replace him. And I think United need to be thinking about where that forward comes from, because we definitely need somebody to fulfill that role. I know it's a long time ago, but when we won the treble in 1998, 1999, we had 4 forwards. Cole, York, Solskjaer, Sheringham. And Solskjaer and Sheringham scored our goals in the Champions League final. We seem to have only one at the moment, or at least one that can be trusted. That's not really good enough, is it? So there you go. Those are my 5 insights from the game against Liverpool. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you like what I do on this channel, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you have a friend who's a United fan who you think would like to see the content that I put out on this channel, let them know about it and encourage them to subscribe as well. Once you subscribe, hit the bell. That will let you know when a new video is coming along. Please subscribe to my X channel, which is Positively United, United spelled UTD, because I post there more often than I release videos on this channel. But that's it for today. Not too sure when the next video will be out, but as I said, subscribe, hit that bell. You'll be told when the next video is coming out. So it's a good reason to do it. Please subscribe. Really want to grow this channel. I know it's tiny at the moment. Presentation's not very professional, but we all have to start somewhere. I'm fitting this in at the moment with other things that I do. But I want this channel to succeed because I want a channel out there that's presented by just an average normal fan, and it isn't mired in negativity, as some of the other fan channels are. And I think the reason they are is because they've worked out that that's the way that you get clicks and likes and subs and all that sort of stuff. But I'm never going to do that. This channel's called Positively United. It's not blind to United's faults, and when things are going wrong, I'll certainly point them out. But I'm not going to just do negative stuff for the money, ever. That's my promise to you. So if you like that as a proposition, subscribe and let your friends know and get them to subscribe as well. And let's try and grow this channel over the next few months. Okay, that's it until the next video. Until then, always remain positively united.